Okay, so when you're ready, we'll start. I'll give you a couple options. I know some of you just ate. So if you just ate, you can start standing in Tadasana. If you did not, or if you prefer to be inverted, come to just a wide-legged standing forward fold. And if you have blocks or something like blocks to use under your hands, if you want a little extra support, feel free to use those. So just coming either to this forward fold with legs pretty wide, or again, if you don't want to be upside down quite yet, just come to Tadasana. And then let yourself settle into what you feel here. Notice the connections between your body and the mat. If your hamstrings are long enough, flexible enough, and it feels good, you could even bring your head down to rest on blocks as your hands rest on the ground, as I'm doing now. And then just start by noticing from the ground up what you're feeling and how your body is interacting with and responding to gravity. Your feet, your hands if they're on the ground or blocks, your head if it's on the ground or blocks. And then what you feel up through your legs, up into your spine, up into your head, down into your arms and hands. Take 5 more rounds of breath here. And then we'll move into either a Malasana squat. So if you're coming from wide legs, you could scuttle your feet in a little closer, bend your knees deeply, sit your hips back and down. If you're coming from Tadasana, same thing, take your feet wider than hips distance, sink your hips down. And if you want to sit up on your blocks or up on a prop, you can. You can either be in Malasana or you can be up a little higher in more of a pep talk pose or even in chair pose. So again here, whatever degree you're bending your knees and squatting down, notice the connection of feet to ground. If you're deep in Malasana, you might even take your hands to the ground, noticing the connection there between fingertips and mat. Take about 3 more breaths. And then from here, turning upside down into Uttanasana, forward fold with feet parallel. And then inhale to a halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana, heart reaches forward. Exhale, fold back down. And then from here, you can step back into a down dog. So if you're sideways on your mat, give yourself a turn. Take your feet back, hands forward. Notice as you come into your down dog, the places in your body that meet your mat. And then let your awareness travel up towards the apex of the pose, towards your hips. Let your hips lift away from your hands and feet. And then from here, roll forward into a plank pose. From your plank, lower all the way down to your belly. Untuck your toes, walk your feet back a little bit. Get really long from hips to feet. And then taking your arms down beside you, lift up into a half locust. So arms will externally rotate as your palms face the ground, shoulder blades draw lightly towards each other. Legs stay strong, feet and pubic bones stay grounded. Take another inhale. And then exhale, release, press back to a child's pose. And then from child's pose, tuck your toes, lift your hips, down dog. And take a big breath in through your nose. Open your mouth, take a big exhale. Inhale again together. Big exhale out. Inhale, pull forward into plank. Exhale, lower all the way down. Inhale, low cobra this time. Hands can stay as they are as you lift your heart. Curl your shoulder blades back. Exhale, press up and back. Find down dog again. And take an inhale through your nose. Open your mouth, take a big exhale. Inhale again. Open your mouth, exhale. Once more, full breath in. Exhale out. Walk your feet up towards your hands. Take your feet wide and again find a low squat, Malasana. Hips can be supported with blocks again if you need. Take an inhale and exhale. And then inhale, lead with your heart, rise all the way up to standing. Reach through your hands as you parallel your feet. Exhale, bring your hands to your heart. To half sun salutations. Inhale, stretch up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rise all the way to standing. Exhale, bring your hands to your heart. Inhale again, reach up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise all the way to standing. Reach through your hands. Exhale, bring your hands to your heart. Sun salutations with Malasana. Inhale, stretch up. Exhale, scoot your feet wide, sink down, low squat, Malasana. Take an inhale here. Exhale, Uttanasana, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold, step back to plank. Take an inhale here. Exhale, lower all the way down. Inhale, low cobra. Exhale, back to down dog. 3 breaths here. And when you're ready, inhale, rise to tiptoes. Exhale, bend your knees, step or float your feet to outside your hands, Malasana, top of your mat. Take an inhale and exhale. Inhale, rise all the way to standing, reach through your hands, parallel your feet. Exhale, bring your hands to your heart. 2 more rounds. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, scoot your feet wide, sink down, Malasana. Inhale in Malasana. Exhale, Uttanasana. Parallel your feet as you bow. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold, step back to plank. Take an inhale. Exhale this time, either chaturanga or all the way down. Inhale, cobra or up dog. Exhale back to down dog. 3 breaths. When you're ready, step or float your feet to outside your hands, Malasana. Take an inhale and exhale. Inhale, stretch all the way to standing, reach through your hands, parallel your feet. Exhale, bring your hands to your heart. Inhale again, reach up. Exhale, squat down. Inhale in Malasana, broad lifted chest. Exhale, Uttanasana, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold, step or float back. Any transition back to down dog, chaturanga to up dog, belly to cobra, or straight back. 3 breaths in down dog once you arrive. When you're ready, inhale, rise to tiptoes. Exhale, bend your knees, step or float feet to outside your hands. Malasana as you inhale and exhale. Inhale, rise all the way to standing, stretch through your hands. Exhale, bring your hands to your heart. Pausing here, take 5 rounds of breath. Notice your feet on the ground. Notice how your body aligns itself from feet to head. Notice the movement of your ribs, your belly, your back, settling of your bones and your muscles. And then from here, sit your butt back and down into chair pose. It doesn't have to be a deep chair, it could be pretty shallow. Find a pretty good fold in your hips so you're not rounding or rolling your pelvis backward. Pelvis is a little tilted forward. And then take your hands down to the outsides of your knees. Press your knees out into your hands. As you do so, really activate your feet, lift your toes, spread them. Push your feet and your knees wide. And then come all the way up to standing again. Stretch up through your arms. And then exhale again, chair pose, this time hands to your heart. Without your hands on the outsides of your knees, press your feet down and wide. Try to engage around the similar area, that outer hip area. And then add back in your hands. So now knees can kind of more directly push against something. Woo, boy, that's fun. And then go all the way to standing again. Straighten your legs, reach your arms up. And then this time, fold all the way down, Uttanasana. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold, step, or float back. Any transition again to down dog. And if you have blocks, make sure that they're up near the top of your mat. If you don't have blocks, that's okay. Don't sweat it. From your down dog, as you inhale, stretch your right leg up. Roll your hip open as you exhale, bend your knee. And then inhale, stretch your right leg long again. As you exhale, take your knee towards your chest, shoulders forward. Inhale, right leg reaches up and back. Exhale again, knee to chest, shoulders forward. Inhale, reach your right leg back. Exhale, last time, knee to chest. Step your right foot forward. Lower your back knee down and then take your hands to blocks if you have them. If you don't, you can just take hands to hips. Lift your heart. Finding a tiny little hint of a back bend here in your lunge. A stretch and opening in the front of your left leg and hip flexors. Take another in breath. And as you exhale, find pyramid pose. So hands again could be on blocks, or you could be a little higher with your torso as your hands are on your hips. Right outer hip reaches back, left heel attempts to ground, even if it's not fully on the ground. And then right foot, you can flex if that feels good. Sometimes that feels nice for the ankle and good for the calf. And then from there again, widening your feet a little bit or lengthening your stance, sink your back knee down, lift your heart up, maybe even rise up through your arms. And then as you exhale again, pyramid pose, lifting your hips, perhaps shortening your stance as you straighten your legs and bow. And then a few more times at your own pace. Inhaling to bend your knees, lift your heart. And then exhaling to straighten your legs as you bow. And take a couple more rounds. Move as slowly as you need. Adjust how you need to. And then next time you're in your lunge pose, pause there. And walk your hands out a little bit in front of you with your blocks if you have them, and then launch forward into a standing split. Your hands can, your left leg can lift up as your hands are there for support. Left hip might even stack over your right as you bend your left knee. And then reach your left leg long. Stretch your toes all the way to the back of your mat as you open out into Warrior Two. Left heel meets the mat as your arms open out. And then for a moment, take your hands to your hips. Notice if your hips are tilting a little bit towards the top of your mat. If they are, try to level them out. Right hip maybe lifts a tiny bit. And then as you bend into your right knee, find those same muscles that you found in chair pose when you were opening up your knees or pressing your knees wide. Fire up those outer hip muscles and press your right knee a little bit to the right. Maybe even imagine your right hand was to the outside of your knee and you're pressing into it. And then keeping your hips level, your outer right butt strong, open your arms out wide. Full Warrior Two. Take 3 more breaths here. And then from here, flip your right palm up, reach back into Peaceful Warrior. And then side angle as you take your right forearm to your right thigh. Left arm can stretch over your ear, or you could keep your left hand on your hip. Take 3 breaths here. Notice again your feet on the ground. Strength of your feet, your thighs, your hips. Lengthen your spine, a little lift in your belly. And then bring both hands back down around your right foot and take a twist towards your right side. Pulling your right hip back a little bit. You might get a little outer hip stretch on that right side. You might want to stay here in the twist, or You could do my favorite variation, which is this modified side plank where you scooch your right foot down, come to the outside of your left foot. Right hand again can stay at your hip or reach over your arm, over your ear. And then both hands come back down. Step your right foot back into plank pose. Any transition from here back up to your down dog. From your down dog, big breath in through your nose. Open your mouth, take a big exhale. Inhale again. Exhale back out. From here, inhale, lift your left leg up. Roll your hip open, bend your knee. Inhale, extend your left leg. Exhale, take your knee to your chest, shoulders forward. Inhale, reach your left leg back. Exhale again, knee to chest. Inhale, reach your leg back. Last time, exhale, knee to chest. Step your foot between your hands. Lower your right knee. Hands can come to blocks if you have them as you lift your heart, or hands can come to hips as you find an Anjaneyasana variation. And then from here, next exhale, find pyramid variation, straightening your legs as you bow over your legs, right heel sinks. And again, hands can be on blocks if you have them, or if you don't, lift your torso a little higher, keeping a long straight spine, hands at your hips. And then from there, come back to that lunge, both knees bend, heart and maybe hands lift. And then again to pyramid variation, straightening your legs, bowing forward, maybe even flexing your left foot as you reach your right heel to the mat. A few more rounds, your own pace. Bringing length alternately to the front of your right leg as you come into your lunge, and then the back of your left leg, and probably right leg too, as you come into your pyramid. And the next time you're in your lunge pose, pause there. Walk your hands a little bit further forward as you shift up into a standing split. Your hands, again, could be on blocks if you need a little extra height, or you could take them to the ground. And then maybe stacking your right hip over your left, bending your right knee if you want a little more inner thigh length. And then reaching your right toes all the way to the back of the mat, landing in a warrior two as you rise up. Right heel again spins down, right toes and knee angle a little forward. Hands come to your hips to start and try to level out your hips. Sometimes for me that involves unbending my left knee a little bit, repositioning, and then bending again. And then notice your left knee as it bends. Can you open it a little bit to the left? Again, calling on those outer left hip muscles as hip stabilizers. Maybe imagining your left hand is on the outside of your left knee and you're just gently pushing into it. Arms can then re-expand out into warrior two. Take 3 rounds of breath. And then flipping your left palm, reach up and back, find peaceful warrior. Side angle again, left forearm to thigh this time. Right hand can either stay on your hip or reach up over your ear. Adjust your feet so you feel strong and grounded and stable. Left knee still bends towards the top of your mat and opens a little to the left. Take 3 more breaths here. And then bringing both hands back down around your left foot. Twist towards your left side. And then drawing your left hip crease back a little bit. You might feel a kind of a bonus stretch for your left outer hip muscles. You can either stay there in the twist or make your way again into this modified side plank for slightly less twist, but perhaps more outer hip stretch. Take another round of breath. And then as you exhale, take both hands back down, step back, plank pose. And then once again, any transition back to your down dog. Follow your breath. And then from down dog, bend your knees as you walk your hands back towards your feet. Feet can go about as wide as your mat, maybe even wider. And then a couple options, you can either slide your hands underneath your feet for a gorilla pose, connecting sole of foot to palm of hand, bending your knees as much as you need to for that to happen, or you can take hands to opposite elbows. You could even take hands to blocks. Anything here that's just folding and releasing your head, neck, and spine towards the mat. Take 3 more breaths. And then bending your knees and sinking your hips down to Malasana again. And take 3 breaths here. If it feels grounding here, to keep your hands on the ground, and if they can pretty easily reach, you can do that. And then from there back into Uttanasana as you lift your hips, parallel your feet. Inhale to a halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold back down, Uttanasana. Walk your hands forward again, finding plank pose. Take an inhale and plank. Exhale, lower either chaturanga or all the way down. Inhale, cobra or up dog. Exhale, back to down dog. From here, inhale, raise your right leg up. Roll your hip open, bend your knee. Inhale, extend your right leg again. Exhale, pull your knee towards your chest. Inhale, reach your right leg back. Exhale, once more, knee to chest. Step your foot between your hands. Rise up to a high lunge. And then from here, wiggle your right foot a little wider. Sink your left heel to the mat. Find warrior 1. Hips will turn a little bit to the left. That's totally fine. You can even take your hands to your hips to start. And then rotating from your heart and your ribs towards the top of your mat, just enough to feel like you're gently twisting your spine. Your pelvis and hips may follow to a certain extent, but then at some point your heart and spine might even keep rotating. Once you find that position that feels stable, take your hands above your head, palms together, interlace all but your index fingers. And then staying connected through your left heel and left foot, lift a little bit more through your heart and your arms. And then from here, take your hands behind you, either interlacing your hands or hands to hips as you fold into humble warrior. As you fold, try to draw your right outer hip back a little bit. Left heel stays heavy. Left inner thigh stays a little buoyant. And then from here, hands come down as you shift forward, standing split again. Hands can come back to the supportive blocks if you need. And then once again, floating back, warrior 2, left heel meets the mat. Arms expand out. And then again, staying here, 3 solid breaths, finding a level pelvis, strong outer right hips, strong right thigh. And then from here, straighten your right leg. Hands can come back to your hips. Left foot scooches a little bit closer to your right foot. And then hips again, not facing forward or totally to the side, but somewhere in between. Let your right hip crease fold as you come towards triangle pose. For me, the more I fold, the more my pelvis turns and my heart turns towards my right foot. That's okay. Find support if you need it, maybe with a block or just hand to ground. And then pushing against your right hand or pushing your right hand against the support, turn your heart towards the side wall. Again, just like in Warrior One, your hips will follow your heart to some degree. And then your heart and ribs may keep rotating beyond where your hips go. Left hand can reach up over your head or straight towards the ceiling. Take 3 more breaths. Stay grounded and connected through your right big toe mound, and outer left heel. And then from here, you can shift forward into a half moon. So your block can come with you. Right hand can stay connected to your block as you lift your left leg. And now right outer hip and left outer hip muscles are fired up. Lift your left leg about hip height. Turn your heart towards the wall that you're looking at. Right big toe and big toe mound, stay grounded. Right hand can also stay grounded. Take 1 more breath in. And then as you exhale, soften your right knee. Take both hands to the ground or blocks. Step your left foot all the way back into a lunge. And then a twist towards your right side. You decide if you want to stay in that twist or find some variation of side plank. And then bringing both hands back down. Any transition to end up in down dog. And then from down dog, inhale, left leg rises. Exhale, roll your hip open, bend your knee. Inhale, extend your leg back. Exhale, draw your knee to your chest, shoulders forward. Inhale, reach your left leg back. Exhale once more, knee to chest. Step your foot between your hands. And then rise up to a high lunge. Wiggling your left foot a little wider than your right, or wider to the left. Spin your right heel down. Find Warrior One legs. Hands can start out on your hips. Again, your hips will probably not face fully forward or fully to the side. They'll be somewhere in between. Find a long spine, lifted chest, and then rotate to whatever degree feels good in your heart and your ribs to face forward. Let your hips follow to the degree that they will. And then reach your arms up overhead. Palms can come together as your fingers accept your index interlace. Plant through your right heel, lift through your heart and your arms. And then next exhale, fold forward, humble warrior. Hands can either just rest on either side of your sacrum or interlace behind you. Left outer hip moves back a little bit. Right foot seals to the mat. Right inner thigh slightly buoyant. And then from here, hands come to the mat or your blocks. Shift your weight forward, standing split. And then float your right foot back, Warrior Two. Second time around, same alignment or same actions as first time around, leveling through your hips, finding strength in your outer hips, especially outer left. As your arms expand out, settle in, take 3 more cycles of breath. And then hands can come back to your hips as you straighten your left leg. Scoot your right foot forward or towards the top of your mat just a little bit. And then start to fold from your left hip crease, keeping your spine straight to start out. The more you fold, the more you might turn your chest to face the ground. Find some support under your left hand if you need it. press your hand down, lengthen your spine again, and then rotate your heart towards the side. Hips again will follow to some degree, but don't force them. Reach your right arm up or over your ear. Stay grounded through big toes, big toe mounds, outer heels. And then from here, soften your left knee, shift your weight forward into your left leg, and then half moon as your right leg rises. Left hand stays grounded on your block or on the floor. And then outer hips are active. Left to outer hip kind of pulls your hip towards the right so you're not wonked over to the left side. And then right outer butt muscles, lift your right leg. And then heart might turn a little bit more towards the side. Right hand could lift if you want. Take another round of breath. And then softening your left knee, take both hands down, standing split. Step your right foot back into a low lunge. And then twist towards your left side, deciding if you want to stay there or find some variation of side plank. And then come back through plank pose. Any transition to down dog, and then a moment either in child's pose or a seat. And give yourself about 5 breaths. And then come up to a seat, swing your legs forward. And then bending your right leg, set up Janu Sirsasana. So right knee bent, hips a little to the side. And before we come to a forward folded variation, take your right hand behind you, can be up on fingertips for this if you want, and then lifting your hips, rolling up onto your shin, reach your left hand up and over your head. And then as you exhale, set your hips back down, reach out towards your left foot. And then again, swoop back up. Right hand comes behind you as you lift your hips, stretch your left arm up. And then the hips come back down as you reach out towards your left foot with your right hand. Once more, sweeping back up. And then once more, swooping back down. And this time, staying in your forward fold if that feels good for you. You can use a strap or a towel if you want to loop around your foot and stay a little higher. You can find blocks and use those under your forearms or forehead. And if folding forward just doesn't feel right, you can do the opposite and instead sit up and back a little bit. Take about 3 more breaths. And then coming back up to a seat, you can bend both knees. And then you can either come into a Gomukhasana, seated cow face pose, right knee under, left leg on top. So you're stacking knee over knee. You could sit up on a block or on a blanket if you need a little more height for this. Sometimes that's a slightly gentler variation. Or you could just crisscross your legs like you're back in kindergarten on a carpet square. If you're crisscrossing your legs, applesauce kindergarten style, you can then fold forward for a little bit more intensity, resting forearms on blocks or forehead. If you're in that cow face pose with knee over knee, you can either stay upright, letting your thighs get heavy, heart and head get a little lighter, or you can also start to fold forward. And if you're folding forward, stay heavy through your thighs. Let your pelvis move as you do. Give yourself another 5 breaths. And when you're ready, come back upright. Extending your right leg forward. Bend your left knee. And we'll set up a Janu Shirsasana on the second side. And again, before we come into folding and holding, you can take your left hand back behind you. Lift your hips, roll up to your shin, reach your right arm up overhead. And then as you exhale, come back and swoop over your right leg, left hand reaching towards your right foot. And then coming back up, left hand behind you, lift your hips, roll up to your shin, reach your right arm up. And then as you exhale, hips sink, fold slightly forward. And then once more, hand comes behind you, lift your hips, reach up through your right arm. And then hips come back to the mat, fold forward, either taking your hands to your foot if that feels like a reasonable thing to do, or looping a strap around your foot and just folding as far as feels good. And just as on the first side, if folding is an unnecessary step, if you're already feeling a lot happening in your right hamstrings, stay upright and even try leaning back. See how that feels. We'll take another three rounds of breath. And then coming back upright, we'll take Gomukhasana or crisscross applesauce asana. Second side, crossing your right knee over your left knee. If you're coming into this Gomukhasana variation, and again, you can be propped up on a folded blanket or a little pillow if you want. Or if that feels like a little much, take the milder version. Find yourself a little carpet square, crisscross your legs, and then fold over your legs if you need or want a little bit more sensation. Whatever variation you're in, and whether you're folded forward or seated upright, let your thigh bones be the heaviest point of the pose. Take about 5 more rounds of breath. And when you're ready, you can come slowly up and out of the shape. And just extending both legs straight out in front of you. Either lean back, finding a little bit more length in the front side of your spine, more opening in your chest if that feels good. Or you could take one more seated forward fold. If you want a little stretch for your quads, you could bend your knees, taking your heels under you, perhaps sitting on a block, and then leaning back a little bit, scooping your tailbone under. So wherever you go next, let it be pretty simple. Try not to just chase sensations. Let yourself notice the sensations that you already feel. And start to make your way at your own pace to wherever you want to be to rest. If you want to come into Shavasana, lay back onto your back, stretch your legs and arms out long. If you want to be seated, take a seat, take time, get any warm layers or extra padding that you want. And then settle in. We'll be here about 6 minutes. See if you can let yourself do nothing but rest. Be with your breath. Feel your body as it is. Feeling no need to change anything, but inviting yourself to notice those things that will naturally change. slowly start to lengthen your breath. And start to bring back any movement that feels intuitive. And if you have no reason to get up, if you just want to stay resting as you are, that's of course totally fine and welcome. If you would like to come up to join me in a seat as we close, come up gradually to a seat. And once you're upright, bring both hands to rest on your heart. Pausing to feel your heartbeat under your hands. To feel your breath under your lungs, under your ribs. And then take a full breath in through your nose. Open your mouth, take a big exhale. Inhale again deeply together. Sigh your breath back out. Bowing your head down to your heart, thanking yourself and your body. Thank you all so much for being here this Monday and so many Mondays. Thank you for supporting yourselves through practice, supporting community through coming here to practice, and this week supporting Curious Comedy. Thank you so, so much. I hope to see you all soon. Namaste.